The story begins with a woman named Laura, who lives with her younger sibling and her father, a clothing seller. Since childhood, Laura has dreamed of becoming a beauty queen. At the age of 23, Laura plans to participate in the selection. However, when she expresses her intention to her father, he disapproves and even dislikes the social circles and lifestyle of a model. Despite this, after her father leaves to sell clothes, Laura is determined to join and immediately meets her friend named Suzu. After that, they both go, and there are already many other women participating in the selection. One by one, they enter the room until it is Laura's turn to introduce herself to the judges. Fortunately, they both pass and are told to return the next day for training. That night, Laura looks for Suzu in a nightclub. Laura is not used to attending such events and is quite shocked when she feels harassed by a drunken police officer. Suzu then takes Laura to the toilet to explain that those people could help them win the contest. After a lengthy explanation, Laura understands and lets her friend leave first. Shortly after, a group of people enters through the toilet ventilation, armed. Seeing this, Laura is very scared and confused, while she is now cornered and can't go anywhere. Unfortunately, Laura is eventually discovered and threatened not to tell anyone about what happened. The person also gives her some money and tells her to leave the club immediately. When Laura wants to take Suzu away, suddenly the lights go out, and gunshots and screams are heard in the dark as people search for someone. After the shooting stops, Laura tries to save herself by crawling back to the toilet. Laura secretly hears that the police are almost there, so she decides to escape through the ventilation hole. While waiting for the situation to be safe, Laura sees several bodies wrapped in plastic being put into a car. Laura becomes increasingly worried, fearing one of the bodies might be her friend. When the police arrive, the club becomes crowded with people wanting to see the crime scene. When Laura tries to enter to look for Suzu, she is blocked and quickly expelled, leaving her helplessly waiting for news about her friend. However, by the time morning arrived, there was no news at all. Because of this, Laura was late for the training, which eventually led to her disqualification. Hearing this, Laura was very disappointed because her dream had to end just like that. However, she still prioritized her friend's safety. Laura then tried to find her by approaching a patrolling police officer and asking for help. Fortunately, the officer agreed to help and asked what had happened the previous night. During the journey, however, the officer received a phone call. Laura, who was already a little suspicious, couldn't do anything about it. Midway through the journey, the officer stopped, claiming he needed to buy lunch, which turned out to be prearranged. Soon after, several people arrived and forced Laura to go with them. Laura was then taken to a car where a man named Lino, the leader of the attack the previous night, was waiting. Laura explained that she reported it only to find her friend because they had both entered the Miss Bala contest. Lino then asked for detailed information about Laura's life, from her address, family members she lived with. Lino then proposed a deal. He would help Laura find her friend and get her back into the contest. In return, Laura had to follow his orders first. After the meeting, Laura was instructed to drive a car to the front of a police station. Reluctantly, Laura followed the order. Once she arrived at the designated place, Laura was picked up and put into another car, which turned out to carry bodies from the previous night's attack. This was part of Lino's cartel's retaliation against the police for disrupting their business. While in the car, Laura was asked what reward she would give if she became Miss Bala. However, Laura did not answer and instead asked about her friend's whereabouts. Lino only promised to take care of it, and then took Laura to meet the Miss Bala trainer named Louisa. In the end, Laura got another chance to participate in the contest. Lino even gave Laura money to buy a dress as preparation. Before Laura left with Louisa, Lino confiscated Laura's phone and replaced it with a new one so he could easily contact her. After that, Laura immediately went to a boutique to buy a dress. When Laura started trying on some dresses, she received a call from Lino asking about her whereabouts. This, of course, scared her, and she chose to leave even though she hadn't bought any clothes yet. On her way home, Laura was stopped by a group of police officers. They knew that Laura was the decoy assigned by Lino to deliver a car full of his gang members' bodies. Fortunately, the police only confiscated the phone given by Lino, while Laura was told to go straight home. When Laura arrived home, she went straight to her room and saw on the TV news that Lino was a cartel leader in Mexico who had escaped capture. She felt that her life was truly in Lino's hands, and there was nothing she could do but obey his orders. She also threw away the money Lino had given her while trying to calm herself down. Suddenly, Laura saw car lights outside her house and found a car parked with someone knocking on the door. Laura came out of her room and found her father being interrogated by Lino, who was limping. Laura quickly told her father to go into the room while she went into her own room with Lino to treat his leg or obey any other orders he gave. For safety, Lino then forced her father and sibling to leave the house, as it had become Lino and his gang's base of operations for preparing for a confrontation with the police. The next day, Lino used Laura to buy ammunition from an American named Gringo. Lino smuggled the money by taping it to Laura's waist, making it hard for her to breathe. After that, Laura was instructed to go to San Diego. During the journey, taxi driver, a member of Lino's gang, threatened Laura to keep quiet if she got caught at the border. Luckily, Laura managed to pass the security checkpoint as her passport was clean from any criminal record. When she reached the destination, Laura made the transaction with Gringo, who was waiting in the car. Besides the bullets, Laura also received information to relay to Lino. After completing her task, Laura returned to Mexico with the car. However, after crossing the border, the car was suddenly surrounded by dozens of police officers who started shooting at it. The situation quickly spiraled out of control. Fortunately, shortly afterward, Lino and his gang arrived to fight back. The shootout between both sides ensued until it ended with Lino ordering his men to bring a truck to load the bullets and take them away. In the truck, Laura conveyed Gringo's message that the narcotics agent who had previously captured him was now in Tijuana using the name Orlando Gomez. When they reached a safe place, Laura was immediately taken to appear in the contest. Here, Laura looked unenthusiastic, even though this was what she had always wanted, to become Miss Mexico. However, with her current condition, feeling very pressured and practically a slave to the drug cartel, Laura could only participate in the swimsuit contest without any enthusiasm. Backstage, Laura called her sibling to ask how they were doing and reminded them not to return home. Soon after, during the announcement of the winner, Laura was called as the winner of Miss Baja California. Jessica, her rival, looked very surprised because she had been confident that she would win. However, she couldn't do anything once the judges decided and saw the crown given to Laura. Laura, feeling that she hadn't done anything special and her appearance was far from the other contestants, accepted the crown with bewilderment and didn't show genuine happiness. Laura, unable to stand it any longer, tried to flee to the city, but unfortunately Lino managed to follow her and coaxed her into his car. They went to the beach area, and there Lino finally raped Laura. Laura could only submit, threatened with death if she resisted or tried to escape. The next morning, Lino and Laura went to meet Camara, who had been captured by his men. At that time, Agent Camara was already battered and was being interrogated while being recorded about his role in attempting to capture Lino. After that, Camara was ultimately killed by being hit by a car driven by Lino. After his death, Camara's body was hung under a bridge as a warning to other agents not to mess with Lino's cartel. Laura could only remain silent and turn her face away when Camara's body was shot several more times. After everything was settled, Laura was taken to the Miss Baja victory celebration. During the journey, Laura was instructed to seduce a general named Don and sleep with him. When in the room, Laura would be called to ensure her situation. Hearing this, Laura could do nothing but follow Lino's orders. Upon arrival, Laura was immediately introduced to Don, the target general. After the introduction, Laura went to her table and received attention and congratulations from the guests. While sitting at Don's table, Laura saw herself as the main headline in a newspaper. What shocked her was that the car she once drove to the police station contained 3 bodies, one of which was her friend. Laura realized that her friend had been killed and that Lino had lied to her. But being too deeply involved and confused about what to do, Laura continued her mission to meet Don waiting in the room. Upon reaching the room, Laura activated her phone connected to Lino. At that moment, Laura whispered to Don that Lino's cartel was watching them through the phone. Don immediately informed his aide to be on alert and told Laura to lie on the bed with his aide. Once everyone was in position, Lino shot Don. After the shooting stopped, Laura saw Lino enter the room and alter his identity by putting a hat on the dead body. Laura was then reported to security, arrested and beaten before being taken to a press conference. There, Laura and other members of Lino's gang were declared responsible for the recent police murders. Hearing this, Laura couldn't stop crying. After the press conference, her name quickly spread across all news outlets, and she was eventually captured by the police. She was taken in a police car. Laura was no longer known as Miss Bala California, but as a disgraceful representative of Mexico. After some time in the police car, Laura was suddenly dropped off in the middle of the road, where she eventually told her story. And the movie ends. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Because by subscribing, you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.